All right, everybody, please go ahead and take your seats, and we'll go ahead and get started. John and Shintan, your presence is requested in the seating area. Oh, I'm just giving you shit. Okay. Hey, excited to see so many of our regulars here, as well as a lot of new faces. Welcome to Capital Factory Deck this morning. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. I'll talk a little bit about what 1 Million Cups is. I'm your MC this morning, so I'm just here to open up the show and help facilitate Q&A and our sponsor shout-outs, things like that. So, 5 years of 1 Million Cups, pretty cool organization. We're a national nonprofit, and now more than 8,000 entrepreneurs have shared their stories on this stage or stages across the U.S., where we have chapters in over 180 cities now. And raise your hand if you've been to 1 Million Cups outside of Dallas at another chapter. A few people. Awesome. Frisco counts. Fort Worth counts. Plano counts. There's even 5 or 6 chapters now locally as well. I think Arlington has one coming online soon. We do have an app as well, so please download. It's a free app on your smartphone where you can check into 1 Million Cups and tell us that you're here. You can also use it to leave feedback, connect with fellow community members here in Dallas. And if you are one of our regulars, it's kind of nice. You can always see who the upcoming presenters are directly through the app. Okay, and so today we do have 2 awesome startups. We'll have Gyder going first, and then Everything Headsets going second. And this is mostly just if it's your first time, just so you know what to expect. Each presenter will have 6 minutes to go through their presentation, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. So during that Q&A, we really encourage the new folks especially, don't be afraid, raise your hand, we'll come to you with a microphone so you can ask your question. And I think, personally, that's what I love about 1 Million Cups is the conversation and dialogue that we can get into in the Q&A. So keep that in mind. And thank you to our sponsors. So, like I said, we're a volunteer-run group. We'll do that at the end. I was like, we have our entire team here today, so I want to shout them out later. But thank you to Michael K. Bruner for doing our video and photography. Thank you, obviously, to Capital Factory and The Deck for being our venue sponsor. And lastly, to Brazen DFW. They're sponsoring coffee for us this month. We're really excited about that. And we're going to hear from them for a minute at the intermission. So thank you to all of them. And what else? That's everything. Okay. Thank you all for being here. And now we'll all stand and give a round of applause to welcome our first presenter to the stage, Manoj with Gyder.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Manoj. Can you get the clicker? Sorry. I'm with Gyder. We are on a mission to make life insurance simple and accessible to everyone who needs it. I also have my 2 co-founders, Gyder and Eric, with us today. The 3 of us share a common passion. We all, 3 of us have spent our entire career in the insurance industry. We talk to all sorts of stakeholders, the customers, agents, sales force, and we all found that there is always a gap between what customers really want and what industry is able to provide. I'll give you an example. My cousin who lives in Vegas, he wanted to buy life insurance more than a year back, and he had a true need. His daughter was going into the kindergarten, and he was really concerned that he needs to provide enough protection to his family, but he wasn't finding enough information to research and make a decision on what to buy, how much to buy. So he even contacted his home insurance company, and they gave him some quotes and they gave him some suggestions, but he wasn't comfortable. When I talked to him, we started talking about his overall financial situation, what's his earning, how much he's saving, his retirement plans, and when we look at the totals and his family situation, he was able to get some answers to the questions. In a few weeks, he made a decision, he bought the product that he wanted to. So 3 of us have spent many hours throughout our lives, helping our friends, families make right financial choices. And we knew there was enough problem in the market to be solved from that perspective. And that's when we left our jobs and we built Gyder. So if you look at the US population itself, about 25% or 30 million people recognize the need to have life insurance. Out of that, a significant portion of those actually seriously shop. Also a good number, about 14 million, go and get quotes and prices on products. But only 9 million people end up actually owning the product. So why there is a gap of 22 million people? Obviously there is a recognition of need. They understand they need it. So why 22 million people drop out in the process? Some of the reasons are that, first of all, people don't know, many of them don't know where to start. Or they give up because of the jargon and the confusing terms about the products, options, prices, or they quit because when they started, the process was too cumbersome, it was too complicated to follow. If we specifically ask the customers, they'll tell you that buying life insurance isn't fun. Agents, they don't trust agents because they don't think agents tell the full story. And we know that mostly it's driven by the commissions and the licenses agents have, and that's a known factor in the industry. Then the product options are usually complicated to understand, so it's harder to make a decision. And then process is often time consuming when they go down to start buying a product. It's also non-transparent, so they don't really know what's happening to their policy or the process they have already started with the application. So we knew that problem exists, and we knew that's a big enough problem to be solved for a large population. So now imagine a completely new type of life customer's journey. A person can get the information they want to understand what it is, what kind of products exist, and why should somebody be even buying it? Should they be buying it? Is it right for them? And they can then get deeper into some consideration stages where they might be able to see what are the products available, what are the prices available, and how does a product like life insurance fits into other financial choices they have. So getting a more holistic idea about their financials. And then moving into a process which is easy to follow when they make the buying decision, which has, they can trust that there is a comparative price that they're getting for the product. And then they can also get the online service afterwards. They can make changes if they want it. They can trust that the claim will be there when they need it. And they feel good about telling others, making recommendations to other people. So the core of this solution is Gyder's recommendation engine. And the recommendation engine takes millions of data points from the actuarial and medical data science to be able to make recommendations, algorithmic recommendation on what's the right choices. By looking at a few simple inputs from the customer, it can tell them whether you should buy more life insurance, should you be saving more for the emergencies, should you be saving more for retirement instead of certain critical illness or disability products. So creating a balance in their financial choices, and then that leads into customized products that they can own and be sure that it actually aligns with their overall goals. So there are many companies out there who are totally focusing on buying part of the journey. We wanted to focus more on advice and education in addition. So we are the first company who is actually focusing on the entire customer journey, not just the sale of the product, but understanding why people need it, how they need it, and also giving them more algorithmic advice that improves with time. So this is our beta site, which is currently available, recently launched, www.gyder.com. You can go on this site, enter the information, some of the inputs, your own inputs, and see what results come out. And the other next step for us is to design products which are customized for the life stages of the people. So taking that recommendation and turning that into products that people can own. So if you look at the overall picture, we're moving from an agent-centric to a customer-centric model, where what customer wants drive all the choices, and the market itself is a big enough market. Thank you.
All right, awesome job. Now we're going to move into Q&A, and we'll have two of our team members with mics coming around. Yeah, Chris, if you want to ask the first question and start us off.
All right, first, as a community, what can we do for you?
So, a couple of things. One is we would like to get more feedback. So, if you could go and check out the website www.gyder.com, take the assessment, give us our reaction response. We want to build this product not too fast, but at the pace where our customers can interact with us, can understand how it helps them, and can give us feedback. So we would welcome that feedback. Also, let other people know, those who you can, who you know, and see if it works for them. What information it supports, what areas would you like to know more? What are the questions that you have that the current model doesn't answer? So those are the areas where we've been most keen. We just started our investment search, for fundraising search. So if you know investors, of course, we would like to, if any introductions are great. But the primary request is to have interaction with the site, interaction with us.
So are you, I guess it sounds like, are you an independent agent? What kind of license do you guys have as a life insurance?
The bar license will be an agency license, yes.
And it's just for each state or just for Texas, or how are you guys handling that?
It's going to be eventually nationwide. We might roll it out as statewide. Currently, as you look at the product, we don't have products on the site. We have advice and education. That's where we wanted to start. We wanted to start with that engagement, which is going to be free advice forever, for anybody. So instead of paying high dollars for advice or for financial planning, we want to make it open to everyone. So it's not something which only select few can have. And then on the product side, we have a multi-phase approach. Our initial plan is to be able to allow products that we think are the best choices in the industry, and then customer can make their decision. Our next stages will be to build our own products. So initial, to answer your question, is really an agency, but eventually to become a carrier.
Good morning. Nice presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any idea, I know that you're going to go into your own products, which is great, and so you might not be able to push this in, but any idea of thinking of other insurances, like auto insurance, health insurance, that type of thing, down the road?
It could be down the road, right? Our current focus is to
Life insurance.
and financial along with it. So our focus is to become a financial services company that focuses on life insurance and related financial choices like your savings, retirement, any other protections like disability, critical illness, supplemental health choices that we make. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you have a target market that you're going after? I'm 26, I don't have life insurance.
Right.
Am I your target market? Are you going for someone who's more aged? Like, help me understand that.
So there are two, we're not targeting by age, but we're targeting two different type of behavior from consumer. One is those who want to research and find out about the products and their choices before they make decisions. So they're looking for that online information. If you Google today, right now, about help me buy life insurance or some of the supplementary product, you won't get much information today. So that's one where people want to do it themselves but want to research. The other is busy individuals. I think that you might fall into that category where you don't want to make a choice which is too rushed because but you're busy. Morning maybe you go to your work, evening you got other appointments to handle, and can you start a process which is slow but also you know where it's going. So you can start something, stop it, and then you can go back to it. So it's busy individuals and people who want to research on themselves. It's mainly the sweet spot. That's our current understanding. Again, we're in the early stages, so we also want to have more interaction to see which gaps can be filled better from a customer perspective. So we would love to have your input to where you think, as you take the assessment, where do you think your needs are not being met today? And then maybe that we'll learn something from that.
Morning.
Morning.
I've always found that insurances benefit from non-transparency. So what's the feedback you've gotten from the insurances? Have they been willing to onboard this kind of model because it's to their advantage that you as a customer know less. I was reading about price optimization and how they can increase your rates maybe yearly and things like that. Have you found that they are not compliant to want to work with services like this or with companies that want to add that transparency for customers?
I think many carriers want to partner with somebody like us. I understand that there are some products that they, or some companies they may not, but everyone knows today that the industry is moving towards people wanting to do their own research, wanting to make their own choices and have access to information. So the response we are getting from insurance carriers is partnerships. We're actually meeting with one in San Jose on Monday, a very large insurance carrier who wants to do a piloting with us because they think that's the only way to access the consumers of today. The consumer yesterday may be different. An agent or intermediaries might want to only sell what the license is. Like if an agent talks to you, when my cousin went to the insurance agent, her home insurance agent, to ask for life insurance, which company do you think he suggested? His own, right? Because they only work based on the license that they have, and that exists today, and that's why there is lack of information transparency. If you want to take the agent out of the equation and make this algorithmic engine as your agent, so you can get your advice, you can get the suggestions of the product, and then insurance companies want to sell the products. Us becoming a channel as a replacement to agent is not a problem with them. In fact, many of them want to do that. So we're basically creating a channel which is really in the infancy stage, but that's the channel of future.
We have time for a few more questions.
Thanks, presentation. So as you mentioned before, there are a lot of insurance companies, and when you go to a Google search, you're going to see a lot of different insurance options. So how are you going to stand out with your marketing campaign?
Our standout and our key proposition is the advice and education to understand and make choices, which actually is non-existent today. There may be some like price comparison tools. They're mostly aggregators, but again, you're starting at the point where you decided. That's why you're doing price shopping. That's why you go to the tool. If you wanted to get real information about balancing your financial life and then making a decision that is this the right life insurance right for me and how much, there is not a lot of competition for us. We are one of the early entrants, or maybe first entrant in that part of the customer's journey. As far as our marketing approach is, it's mostly going to be digital marketing. I think we got a lot of PR to do. We got a lot of, this is one of the venues to start having interactions with customers, interacting with potential future customers. But our digital marketing and messaging is going to be our way to reach out to people.
So we know that millennials aren't saving as much as older generations, if they are at all. Do you have any research to suggest that, one, that consumers under 40 can pay for your product, and two, even if they can, that they would do so?
So when you look at the younger generation, I won't be able to quote you a specific, but I can tell you that we have data on demographic based on the sales, how much people are buying. And most of the time, people buy life insurance based on their life stages, right? When they're young, they may not have many liabilities. They may either not buy or buy a very small amount. What is needed in our understanding and learning is the flexibility to be able to make adjustment as their lifestyle changes. Somebody very young may actually need cheaper but also lower coverage, like accident may be a more important coverage than life insurance, which they think they're very healthy, they may not need it. But as the life stages progress, right, as they have liabilities, they have a home, they have children, they get married, because of those, their lifestyle changes, right, and their earnings change too. So they should be able to make those choices as their lifestyle changes, and that's what most customers are asking for. I understand what you're saying. There's actually a report that came out last week, which shows that how the earnings are not matching the way the inflation and everything else, especially for younger generation. So that's why we think the product which is flexible and also takes people's input. So we're not saying take 10 times your earnings or take this much of your life insurance. We're saying tell us what you're earning, tell us what you spend, and tell us what your family situation is, and how much have you currently saved, how much are you saving in retirement, how much you're contributing. Based on that, this is the right choice for you. And maybe for you, the choice is to not to buy life insurance right now. And maybe something that you should wait till your financial situation changes. Maybe the more important thing for you to have some savings on emergency fund. So that if something happens, you have it here. Maybe you should have a cheaper critical illness product, which bridges the gap in case something happens to you and you can't work for 6 months. So I think the choices are different to your point, depending on your life stage and also your age. And we want to make sure that's built into the algorithm. So we started with some of the data sources and we want to expand on it. So it can become more intelligent. And to your point, you can take those things into account and not just randomly give the same answer to everyone.
All right, we have time for one last question.
Back here.
I think your mic is off.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You just said that you might be one of the first in this market. What's going to stop others from doing the same thing?
I don't think it will stop others from doing the same thing. I think it will give us an advantage in being ahead of others in building the solution for the overall financial guidance, because we're starting to use data sources and information and then interaction with people as input to this. And since we are first to market, and I wouldn't say we're the first to sell these products, and we're not, but we're the first one to address the problem of advice and education in a more automated fashion, right? You can still go to an agent, pay a lot of money and commission, and you can get advice, but we're building an algorithm, we're making it free for everyone. So because there's a value in that commission, we're using part of that value to create this free product, right? So that product evolves over time. So we are ahead of others, and that's going to give us an advantage.
All right, let's give it up for Renee. Thank you. All right, so at this point, we will do a little intermission here to give a shout out to our sponsors. I think we don't have Jasmine. Okay, so since Jasmine is not here from Brazen, I'm just going to read a quick blurb so you guys get to know more about their organization. It's called Brazen Global, and they have a chapter here run by Jasmine Brand, which is called Brazen DFW. And if you go to brazendfw.com, you'll see what they're all about. And their message is, are you a woman who is the head of your own company and serious about growing your business? Brazen DFW is here for you. As a member, you'll have access to business-first programming, expert mentors, and an online network to help you take your business to the next level. Be brazen and join today. Woo! Let's give them a little round. But we love having them as a sponsor because they're bringing a lot of great resources to the Dallas startup community. So thank you again to them. Round of applause. Welcome Daniel to the stage. Take it away.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm extra loud, so I apologize. All right, so the clean headset era. I'm Daniel Medina. I'm the founder of Everything Headsets. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who we are, why we're around, a little bit about headset hygiene, what that means. Also go over the boring stuff, revenue projections. I'll probably skip really fast through that. And then some future offerings, a call to action, kind of what we're here for. So Everything Headsets, founded this year, April 2018, May of 2018. I filed the paperwork in May, so May of 2018. And we're based out of San Antonio, Texas. Our goal is to promote the importance of headsets hygiene across the nation, starting with San Antonio, Texas, and spreading on out. Headsets, how many have ever talked to a person in a call center, whether it be through your cable or your cell phone? How many?
Of course.
Everybody, right? Yes, all right. How many use a headset to listen to music? You better raise your hand. Yeah. All right, so the majority. How many clean their headsets? All right, so we got a few takers. The majority, as you can see, is people don't clean their headsets. Now try to use that same mannerism in a call center. The fact of the matter is that most people in a call center do not clean their headsets. They will either have a person in IT or facilities handle that work. And I don't know about you, but if I'm in IT and I'm better with coding and dealing with security, I don't want to clean a headset. So that's really not my job, but it can be tacked onto that. Facilities, you're more about inventory, what you have, what you don't have. Again, not really tied into that. Other ways is getting agents to clean their own headsets. We all see how well that goes. And so our goal is to provide a world-class headset cleaning for Fortune 500 companies. That's where the niche is, that's where most companies are that have major call centers. There are a few small and medium businesses that have major call centers as well, but that's where our niche and that's where our focus is, a Fortune 500. So you can see Chase, Capital Group, Wells Fargo, any one of those is really what we're targeting. Again, I will make mention that it is not just the Fortune 500. The reason why we are targeted at that is because that's where we have seen the greatest need. So does that mean that we're going to clean one-off headsets? Maybe. I'll address that towards the end. So what does the headset customer service market look like right now? Most people, as you were mentioning earlier, millennials, we have a very different way of looking at things, wanting things, servicing things, and they're actually willing to pay more for better quality. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean that they're going to save money, but it does mean that they're willing to pay a little more for something that's going to give them a little more. And so that's where our service comes in. You may have to pay a little more or actually pay to have your headset cleaned, but what you get in return is a headset that, and I affirm this, it will look better than what you got out of the factory. Why is that? Because when you get it out of the factory, it still has dust on it. It still has little components that come with it. We clean all that off and we return you a headset that looks even better when you first got it. Furthermore, this is what we deal with. Headsets. All boxes gather up. Headsets die a horrible death. They are usually thrown on a desk. They're picked up, they're bitten, they're chewed on. Real quick story. I was at a call center, San Antonio, doing a training regarding headset cleanliness, all this good stuff. Gal afterwards, I would go up to her desk, she's like, I've been having trouble with my headset, what's going on? They can't hear very well, it's kind of like something's wrong. I looked at her headset, I was like, do you see what's in your voice tube? She's like, well, yeah, that just happens, I eat, go to lunch, I eat. I was like, let me just show you. So we blew it out, all this gunk just oozed out of the end of it. I'm like, that's why they can't hear you. And that's the reality of it. People will talk on a headset with nastiness in their mouth, with makeup all on the side of their ear, and just rub it every day. And then you wonder why you break out in rashes or abrasions or things of that nature. Well, where's the hygiene behind it? We all brush our teeth every day, I hope. We all take a bath every day, I hope. But we don't take care of our headset in a similar manner as we would take other things. Like we would wash our dishes at home. We wash them after we eat. We don't wash the headset after we use it, and we're spitting all over it, our tongue is touching it. It's very, when you stop to think about it, pretty disgusting. So it requires a level of hygiene, and that's what our company does. It offers hygiene. How do we do that? We offer cleaning best practices. We show them how to take care of a headset. We go through that process, and furthermore, we do a complete, what is called getting the headset naked. And what that means is you can't take a shower unless you're naked. Well, you can't clean a headset unless it's naked. So you got to take everything off. You got to strip everything off and ensure that you're going into the very tiny crevices and cleaning all that gunk out. Bacteria, all that good stuff, viruses, they all live in those areas. So here's a little bit about the truth about germs. One of the germiest places in the world is an airport. Also, coincidentally, is one of the places where we use the most headsets is the airport. So keep that in mind. And as I said, I will run through this real quickly because nobody wants to hear that. Future offerings, this is what we're looking at. It is to provide headset support around the world, also small and medium business, and in the future, as I mentioned earlier, we want to be able to service those one-off headsets like you have. If you're in an airport, we're hoping to have a kiosk somewhere where you can just drop in while you're waiting for a flight, drop off your headset, clean it 10-15 minutes, pick it back up, we're good to go. That way it promotes the hygiene. And last but not least, remember one thing, that everything great that ever has happened to humanity since the beginning has begun as a single thought in someone's mind. And if anyone is capable of such a great thought, then we're all the same. So if I can come up with this, anybody can come up with this. Somebody is going to compete with me. They're already trying in Pennsylvania. So it comes with the territory. So I want to thank you all for your time.
Okay, great presentation. Now we'll move into the Q&A. And we'll have Chris, if you want to kick us off with the first question.
All right, first question, as a community, what can Dallas do for you?
So I think what the community of Dallas is doing for me, much like San Antonio, McAllen that I was just recently at, the 1 million cups, I want to thank them for their opportunity to have me present, is just getting the word out there. Getting the importance of headset hygiene out there so that people do know. While I was talking about it, a lot of your faces were like, oh, that's nasty. Yeah, and that's what you put in your ear, and that's what you put in your mouth, and that's what your agents, if you work in a call center, that's what they talk on every day. And so if you work in a call center, just get the word out there. Let people know, there is a service for your agents that does incorporate the morale and hygiene of their headset, and that's what we want to promote.
This isn't as much of a technical question, but I'm just intrigued by this presentation. Where did the conviction for all this come from?
Sure.
And the idea, and you might have mentioned it at the beginning, and maybe I just glazed over that.
No, I didn't mention it.
How did you come to this?
So I worked for Plantronics. I worked for Plantronics, a major headset manufacturer. If you've ever worked in a call center, you've heard of Plantronics. That's 90% of call centers have a Plantronics headset. Some other ones are Jabra, VXI, Sennheiser, Sencom, so on and so forth. I actually did the testing and cleaning for Plantronics nationwide. I pioneered their customer care program early on back in 2010, and I started that program. Unfortunately, that program came to a brutal end April of this year when Plantronics merged with Polycom. When they came together, obviously mergers happen, things get shaken up and moved around. What's funny is that even though they let me off, as of recently they hired me to go do a deployment for them in Des Moines. So you can just see that the left didn't know what the right was doing. So it's fine. It is what it is. It's a blessing in disguise. It's given me an opportunity to follow this endeavor. And that's where the inspiration came out of, is that I used to work in the niche. I know the niche, and numerous times people would tell me, we would pay for this service if we needed to. It's like, really? And so being an employee of Plantronics, I could not do that. But since they never charged for it, and they never made it a revenue, I can. So it's kind of a catch-22 that they didn't take advantage of, and now I am. And had they, I wouldn't be able to. So I'm very, very gracious for the opportunity.
Second question there is, how do you plan on cleaning the headset you're wearing right now?
That's a good question. I didn't bring any wipes, but I'm going to leave them a card so they can call me and hire me to clean the headset. I think that's the best approach. Good one. That's good. Yes, ma'am. Let's go ahead. We got two. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
All right.
Just want to let you know, for a market, you should target high schools and their computer rooms. They just keep those headsets in a box, and anybody picks them up and things like that. So if you go to DIST, you get over 300 schools.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I will look into DIST. Yes, thank you.
Nice tip. That's good.
Actually, compelling presentation. I came here wondering what this was going to be about, and I get it now. My question actually though is, when you go and present, obviously you're able to say, hey, I was in the industry, I understand this. There was a lost revenue or opportunity here, I took advantage of it, or I'm taking advantage of it. But once you get past the grossness, and obviously that's compelling enough, but I guess, do you have the, statistics in relation to your call centers will not have absences or less sick people or whatever the case may be?
So there have been numerous studies that have been done, ever from whether it's Harvard Business Review, also HubSpot had a recent one. There's one that starts with an N. It is escaping the name from me right now, and that's embarrassing as itself, but regardless. And there's numerous articles that we have referenced that we used to use as a pain point disclosure, basically, when we would present to numerous call centers. And basically, those articles relate to is the importance, yes, of the headset hygiene and cleanliness, and how by having a service of headset cleanliness, whether it be pioneered by IT, whether it be pioneered by HR, the point is, as long as people understand that their headsets should be cleaned at least once a month, they saw a reducing in employee absenteeism, they saw a reduction in taking off of work for doctor's appointments, those things. So that went hand in hand. And so by seeing those hand in hand, you can safely say, okay, well, prior to this, you were here, and once we started this service, your absenteeism dropped to here. And so that's something that we've explored. Yes?
I'm wondering if bacteria and viruses are your enemy, why, when you're there cleaning the headset, you wouldn't also blow out the keyboard or wipe down the keyboard?
That's a great question, and he mentioned that earlier. And so my argument to that is very simple. Much like a keyboard, it's not on your face. You don't take the keyboard and rub it on your face. The orifices of your face are where most bacteria go in. So I can sanitize my hands and type on the keyboard, and as long as I'm sanitizing, there's no problem. I can't sanitize my mouth though. That's a little hard. So as I'm speaking, spit is coming out. That's unavoidable. You're breathing. Not to mention, you can't sanitize your ears either. So you're going to have your headset sit on your ears. This gets hot over time as you're speaking. This warms up. That makeup, bacteria, whatever, that's how they colonize, is by pressure and heat. And so it begins, the colonization of bacteria near your ears. And there's a very interesting National Geographic, I don't know if y'all ever saw it, with The Dirtiest Guy. And he talks a little bit about this, is the growth of bacteria on our skins and how that kind of just transpires. And to a keyboard, it's a little different, because with a keyboard, lots of times as you're typing, things go under the keyboard. Yes, it's just vitally as important, but you could easily wipe off. With the headset, once again, it's so close to the orifice of the face, the mouth, the nose, the ears, where infections of the eyes, that's another thing, red eye or pink eye or whatever they call it. Staphylococcus, and that's something that as well, just over time, the buildup of gum bacteria can happen over the headset, more prone than on a keyboard. Just because of sanitation, you go to the bathroom, you'll wash your hands, things like that. Again, we're not washing our headsets live in real time 2-3 times a day. At least we hope we wash our hands when we go to the restroom. So, yes?
Morning. Daniel, really good presentation. You really have a great stage presence.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question. What does it cost to clean one headphone set, and how frequently are you recommending that the service be provided? And I just ask because I want to know, for if I was a company, what's the break-even point that I would say, if I keep doing this frequency and I keep doing the service, at some point I'm going to hit the cost of an actual headset. Should I just replace a headset? And I know these accessories have come down in price every 5-6 years.
Right.
So where's the break-even point on this too?
So to answer your question, very great question. So number one, the price point is $10 corded, $15 wireless. $15 for wireless. Wireless takes a little bit more consumption with energy, battery testing, so on and so forth. That's the price point, $10 corded, $15 wireless. As the amount increases of headsets for corporations, Fortune 500s and things like that, obviously, as you say, they're going to want a break-even point. Where does it make sense to not do this? Well, this is where we hone in. To buy a new headset, a Plantronics headset, it's anywhere between a corded headset, is anywhere between $75 to $120. Depending on what your discount is, you could get maybe as low as $57, $58. Fine. You would pay $10 to clean your headset, which over a span of a year would be $40. But that seems like a lot of money. Why not just buy a new one? Well, that new one that you buy, it's a refurbished. It only comes with a 1-year warranty. So after 1 year, it's done. You'd have to spend another $58. And this is given if you buy refurbished or buy used, or not buying new, or just buying another headset as you were portraying. So it actually makes more sense to test and clean over the longevity of the life of the headset. So now we go into the warranty and the lifespan of headsets. So the warranty on corded headsets is usually 2 years. The warranty on a wireless headset is usually 1 year. So the price point gain is actually greater on the wireless units than on the corded units. The reason for that being is on the wireless units, you only have a 1-year warranty. The battery tends to go out a little bit more frequently. So because of lack of charging and lack of being educated on how to charge, that's something else that we do as well. So overall, there is a greater need for hygiene than there is for just buying a new headset, because what then happens is you get those boxes that I was showing in my presentation, and they just back up and back up and back up, and you're spending $14 extra per unit when you could actually just use the same unit you have and maintain it and upkeep it and extend that lifespan. And then that just goes on not just for 1 year, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's just, taking it, very direct, $10, right? If you're doing a service contract, which is we have a headset partner, type of service, it'll be a bit different. We would recommend maybe a quarterly cleaning, maybe monthly, just depend on the how often the agents are using it in their call center. So there's a variance of that. It just really depends. But to answer you directly, $10.15.
All right, we have time for a few more questions.
Hey, great job.
Thank you.
His same question. Can you say what is your cost to clean or maintaining, and the margin you're making, or is that secret?
The margin that we make is substantial. Obviously, it's testing and cleaning, but at the same time, there's a huge risk involved. There's the health and hygiene of those that are doing this job, those that are testing and cleaning these dirty headsets. Very, very quick story, just to kind of put in the risk-reward scenario. We got a box of headsets, had a really crazy odor to it, opened it up. As we started digging through, nothing seemed crazy till we got to the middle. One of the headsets was covered in feces.
Oh my God.
Now, I had to completely throw out that box, completely, let the customer know, look, none of this in here is good. Even if I were to clean it, even if I were to, there's just not enough cleaning that can be done for that. So we had to get rid of it. So we had to replace those headsets and go through the process of working with the customer on what was the best way. Who did that, why they did that, the reasons for that occurring, who knows? Fact is that it did occur. Fact is that we did get it. In fact is we had to throw it away, and we had to deal with that. So while the margin may seem great on the front end, you just never know what you're going to get in on the back end, and that could eat up that margin for that time frame just because of a mishap such as that. Go ahead.
Also,
yeah, I have a lot of gross stories, so.
You started 4 or 5 months ago.
Yes.
So now, how far along are you? I mean, serving customers, or?
We are still in the buy-in phase where customers are buying into the idea, knowing this. The biggest hurdle that we have had is having customers that I used to work with, and I believe in integrity. Number one and foremost. So I will not go back to those customers just because I have their phone number and I have their email. I'm violating the integrity of intellectual property that I gained that information from Plantronics. I can't do that. So I gotta go the hard way, is going through events, going through different ways, and finding the proper people so that then I can get in the door and speak to them. So it's proving to be a little more of a hurdle and taking a little more time. But I think in the long run, it'll be much more worth it just to do it the proper and the right way. Yes, sir.
I don't want to miss this, but a question on the process. Is it just a manual wipe it down? Do you have I know I saw once where cell phones, you have a device that you can put in, I don't think it's infrared, but whatever to clean it. UV.
Yeah.
What's the process?
So our process is a little proprietary. We do have some of the steps that we do outline on our website, but for the most part, the actual details of the steps, that's something we keep kind of in-house, just because that's what makes us. Anybody can go out there and clean a headset, but we clean it right. And we know how to clean it right because we've done it for 10 years. And so that's kind of our niche. That's what makes us us. And so, case in point, I was actually speaking to a client yesterday, a potential client, and they were talking about a company in Pennsylvania that does something very similar. So I'm gonna look into it. So I did. And they don't do anything of what I do. It's just very similar. They will test and clean, but they refurbish, they remanufacture, they sell you headsets. That's one thing with our company. A, we're not here to sell you headsets. And B, We're not here to fix your headset so you can get a remanufactured product that 3 months down the line you're going to call me, hey, it's not working again. That's not what we do. We make sure that your products are working up to Plantronics or VXI or Jabra or Sennheiser's manufactured standards, number one. And number two, we make sure that it's tip-top clean, top to bottom. Everything has been replaced replaced and disinfected so that we can redistribute it back out to the floor. And so that's our goal, is to get the most out of the headset, not so much just wiping it down and that's it. That's also why a lot of what we do is also headset management, inventory management, teaching train the trainer, for example, teach the teacher. So we'll do a lot of those classes as well, just showing best practices of headset hygiene, so that if you don't want to take advantage of the service every month because it may be a bit cumbersome, we can teach the trainer for a moderate fee, and then we can come in once every 6 months to kind of update and see how things are going. So we have numerous options we try to tailor. You're on mute.
We have time for one last question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's two. So,
two-part.
First question is, most of those call centers have probably 20% more phones as far as handsets.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sanitizing those as well? Because that's a revenue opportunity for you as well.
Yeah, that is a revenue opportunity as well. The problem with the handset is you kind of have to do a janitorial service, and we have discussed that as well. It's kind of an overnight sort of thing where you come in overnight, kind of at the same time janitors do, and clean everything on the desk. That's where, kind of to your point, we could incorporate the keyboard in that type of service that was requested. But for the most part, our niche is we pick up, drop off, or ship to, ship back. So that's kind of the way that works.
Okay. And since you can't go back to your previous customers, have you created an ecosystem with other partners that are doing similar services, not exactly what you do, but are also calling into those call centers to be able to create these?
Yes. So I have social media presence on all major platforms, the 4 food groups: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Yeah, right? So it's the 4 food groups. And so I have a social media presence on all those. I also am part of the Chamber of Commerce in San Antonio where I'm at. I try to involve myself with NICE, which is the ones that do the call center quality recordings and things of that NICE product. And so we try to get involved with different aspects of the business. Also, any of the headset vendors, TCI Communications, Alamo Headsets, so on and so forth. Trying to get involved with different vendors so that they understand that, hey, we're a service. It's something that's not just, like as I said earlier, just for the Fortune 500, even though that is our niche. This is something that you can hire us as, on a contracted basis to help you guys out with that as well.
Awesome. Great job.
Thanks so much.
All right, I'm feeling pretty inspired by both of these presenters this morning. I think they've both found really interesting niches and opportunities to create businesses that I never knew there were even industries there. So really great job by both of them. And another thing I want to note about both presenters is that they've made 1 million cups part of their launch and part of their announcement of their new startup. So if you're the founder of a startup and you want to get the word out, 1millioncups.com, submit an application, and then you can get in our pipeline to present on this stage. Make us part of your launch. We'd love that. And a thank you again to all of our sponsors. And I do want to have everyone on our team stand up because we're like all here this time, rarely, and give a thank you to all the 1 Million Cups volunteers. And then since we're here at Capital Factory, especially if it's your first time, we recommend sticking around. Kinga, if you can raise your hand, she's with Capital Factory, and you can see her for a tour of the space, and you can kind of check in or sign in on their system if you'd like to co-work here immediately after the event. And I know we had a lot more questions that didn't get asked during Q&A, so if you're someone who has another question, please do stick around. I think Manoj and Daniel will also be here for a little bit to continue taking questions and network. So hit us up on the 4 food groups, as it was said earlier. And thank you guys. We'll see you next week.